Hello students, in the last session we have discussed about IoT architecture. We have seen four architectures. First we have seen this three-layer architecture, and then we have seen two five-layer architectures, and finally we have seen this service-oriented architecture which contains four layers. And at the end of the session I gave you this small example of smart AC system which uses IoT. Okay. So today we are going to look at IoT design methodology. So what is the use of this design methodology is whenever you are developing IoT applications, first you need to design the application. So for that you need to understand about the system you are going to design or create. So for that purpose we will use this IoT design methodology. Basically it is a sequence of steps that you will perform before actually developing the application. So designing IoT systems is a complex and challenging task because there are different components across the different layers in the IoT system. So it is not that much easy, and we have different choices for each component. For example, if you take a database to store the data which is related to the IoT application, uh, we have different databases, right? Like Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, and all these things. And if you take the OS that is to be used, maybe on Arduino or let's say Raspberry Pi, again you have several choices like Noops OS or Raspbian and other things. There are so many choices. You can also run Linux if you want. Okay, so and generally what happens is the IoT designers develop the design or create the design with specific products in mind. That is before creating the design they already assume that let's say we will be using Linux OS, and for database we will be using Microsoft SQL Server, like that. Give me a minute, I will be back. Okay, so without being tied to any specific product or any programming language or any other specific service, we will be looking at a design methodology that is very generic to design our IoT system. Okay, so with this methodology that you are going to see, it will be independent of specific product or service or programming language. That means it is a interoperable design methodology. Okay, so by using this design methodology which is not tied to any specific technology, service or any other thing, it allows us to reduce, I mean to have the reduced design time, testing time, maintenance time, and reduced complexity, and also provides better interoperability since it is not tied to any specific products. Okay, so the design methodology is like this, total 10 steps. uh, so it will start with product, sorry, it will start with purpose and requirements. So whenever a client comes to you and gives a problem, from that problem we will understand the purpose of the project or the IoT system you have to develop, and from the client you will also gather requirements. Okay, so in the IoT system what do you want, what are your requirements, right? And from that the second step is process model specification. So based on these requirements we will develop the use cases, how the system will be used, so what will be the main functionality. Okay, and then the step 3 is domain model specification. Okay, so Based on the requirements, we will understand what are the different physical entities, virtual entities, devices, resources, and different services that will be there in the IoT system we are going to create. That is the domain model specification. And the next step is information model specification. That means we are going to give some structure to the information that we are going to store as a part of our IoT application or the system. That is, we are going to specify the attributes that we will store, the data inside it, and the relationships between the entities. Okay. And the next step is service specifications. And the service specifications will come from both process model specification as well as information model specification. So through an example we will see all these steps, don't worry, but for now just listen. And in the service specifications we will map the process as well as information model to services and specify them. Okay. And then the next step is IoT level specification. So we have different IoT levels, and at this step we will define what is the level we are going to use. And the next step is functional view specification. So whatever level we have specified here, that level will be mapped to functional groups. So all the functionality which we infer from the requirements, those functionalities will be separated into different groups. Those groups are called functional groups, and the level, IoT level, which we choose from the before step, that will be mapped to these functional groups. And the next step is operational view specification. So by the end of the 7th step we will get all the information, and using that information we will choose what is the hosting we have to require for hosting the application, and what is the storage options, like what kind of database we have to use and which devices we have to use, maybe the IoT sensors, which IoT sensor we have to use, and which device we have to use, computational device, like we have to use Arduino or Raspberry Pi or Node MCU. Such kind of decisions will be taken at this step. And also the communication options, what kind of APIs we have to use, what kind of programming language we have to use, and all such decisions will be taken at this step, operational view specification. And the next step is device and component integration. After choosing all the necessary details and specific products, we try to integrate them, combine them at this step. And after integrating them, we will develop the application. That is, we finally write the code. Okay. So in all these steps up to step let's say 7, we will get diagrams. So all the information is represented in the form of diagrams. Okay. So at the end what happens is, whatever we are representing in the diagram, that will be converted into code. Okay, by using whatever we are choosing in this step number 8, either Python language or Java language, is it MySQL server, like that. Choosing those options, we will try to write the code for the IoT system which we are developing. Okay, now we will use a case study. The case study is about home automation system. Home automation system, typically what it does is it automates lot of things like lights, okay, and maybe surveillance using cameras and all these things for intrusion detection, So we may try to automate HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or maybe we try to automate other things. Okay, but in this example we are going to see an application which will automate the lighting system. Okay, consider smart lighting inside the house, right? So first step is purpose and requirements specification. Okay, that is the first step. So from where do we get these things is the client will come to us. So let's say assume that you are a software company. So one day a client comes to you and he or she will give the problem. I have a house and in the house I want to automate the lighting system. So from that problem you will define the purpose of the system you are going to develop, the behavior, and the client will also give you some requirements. Okay, based on the requirements you can also include your own requirements. Okay, and those requirements can be data collection requirements, that is how the data will be gathered, maybe through sensors or using some other mechanism. Data analysis requirements, so is there any need for analyzing the data that is collected, is it locally or will that data be analyzed in the cloud or somewhere else. System management requirements, what kind of management services do the client needs, and are there any security requirements, is there any authentication required, such kind of things. And finally, what are the user interface requirements. So let's say you are developing a mobile application for the smart lighting system. In the application, how the user interface should look like, is a button sufficient or what kind of options should be there in the application. Okay, so using our home automation system which is about smart lighting, you can see the purpose. So the application should allow controlling the lights remotely using a web application. So what are we doing here? We are creating a web application which can be accessed through laptops, desktops or mobiles. Okay, and also the system should allow us, allow the client, that is the owner of the house, to remotely control the lights through this web application, right? And what is the behavior? So from the client requirements we understood that the home automation should that is the application should allow two modes, that is auto and manual. So in the auto mode the light level is adjusted automatically by using sensors. Okay, the sensor will measure the amount of light, the light level in the room, and based on that light level it will switch the lights on or off or decrease the intensity of the light. Okay, and the second mode is manual mode, that is the client himself or herself will switch lights on and off. Okay, it might be remotely from some other location outside the house or sitting in the office and doing all these things. Okay, and the client also needs some remote monitoring and control functions. Okay, let's say remote monitoring means the client wants to see the light level, light intensity level, okay, the data, and the client wants to control the lights, switching them on and off. So these are the system management requirements. And the data analysis requirements the client gave is uh, local analysis should be performed on the data. That means we are not sending the data from the sensors to cloud. We will be storing the data locally, that is inside the house itself. Okay, maybe using Raspberry Pi or some kind of device, we will store the data there itself. We will not send the data or forward the data to remote location, right? And application deployment requirements. Application should be deployed locally, but it should be accessible remotely. So all the data of the application will be stored inside the house, maybe in some local server or something, or some local device. So the server will be located inside the house only. This server will be accessed through internet. That is this remotely accessing remotely feature. Okay. And security. So the client needs some basic security like user authentication. So maybe username, password. The application might require the user, that is the client, to log in using username or password, or you can use biometrics like fingerprint or facial recognition to use the application, which controls the lights. Okay, so that is the first step, purpose and requirements specification. And the second step is process specification. So what happens here, based on the requirements we will be developing the use cases. Okay, how the system, the application or the system we are developing will be used by the client. Okay, so this is the process diagram. So this is like a typical flow chart. Let's first understand the symbols. So the circles represents start of a process. So for this example, let's say consider this as the running your application as start of a process. So the client needs web application now. Let's say the running of web application is start of a process. And this diamond symbol is decision box. Okay, that is like a if statement. If something happens, what should happen? If something takes place, what should happen? Okay, and the rectangle symbol is either a state or attribute of an entity. Okay, so let's see, the process is starting, that is we are running the web application. Okay, now in the web application the user will see an option for setting the mode. Okay, do you want auto or manual? So the client has to choose, make a decision. That's why we have a decision box here. If the client chooses auto, that is automatic lighting, then what should happen? The sensors will sense the light level of light or intensity of light. Okay, and again based on the intensity of the light, that is if the level is low, enough light is not there in the room, the light will switch on. Otherwise there is sufficient amount of light in the room, the light will switch off. Okay, and if the client chooses manual mode, that is the client wants to switch on and off the lights. So here we have the state of the light, that is it on or off. Okay, and then if the client chooses on option, the lights will switch on. Similarly, if the client chooses off, the lights will switch off. Okay, it's very simple for this example. Okay, so that is the process specification. What we are doing at this step, we are developing use cases, how the system can be used. Okay, and the third step is domain model specification. So it's a kind of diagram. This is the domain model. So don't worry, I will come to this in a few seconds. So what we do in this domain model is, so whoever sees the domain model, that is this diagram, they will understand what are the different entities or objects or concepts which are there in the IoT system. Okay, so that is the purpose of domain model specification. So you can see here domain model describes the main concepts or entities or objects in the domain of the IoT system. So here the domain of the IoT system we are developing is smart lighting system. Okay. So what will be there in the smart lighting system? There will be lights, that is the bulbs. There will be room because it is home automation system. So there will be different rooms in the system. There will be sensors, there will be actuators. So all these things comes as concepts or entities or objects. Okay. And this domain model defines attributes of the objects and the different relationships between these objects. So in the diagram we will see what are these objects, attributes and relationships. And the good thing is domain model is independent of any specific technology or platform. Okay, so we are getting interoperable model. So this model we can take and implement using any kind of technology or platforms. Okay, right? And okay, so using this domain model, the system designers as well as system developers, they can understand the domain. Okay, the domain means what are the different entities will be there in the IoT system, what are the relationships between them, what are the different attributes for those entities, and all such kind of information can be understood by looking at this domain model, right? So what are the things you can find in a domain model? That is the diagram. So you can find physical entities, virtual entities, devices, resources and services. Okay, now let's see about each one of them. First, the physical entity. So the physical entity is any physical identifiable object in the environment. So for our home automation example, the physical entities will be room as well as appliance. So appliance means the light. Okay, the light bulb is called as appliance in this example. So those are the physical entities. Okay, and what does the IoT system do? IoT system provides information about those physical entities by using sensors and actuators. Okay, right. Next, virtual entity. And what is a virtual entity? Virtual means some kind of artificial thing, right? Okay, which is not really there. Okay, so virtual entity is a representation of physical entity in the digital world. So the physical entities I have told you are room and appliance, right? So how can you represent those physical things in the code? In the program you will write is through, that is by using virtual entity. So we will have one virtual entity for room as well as another virtual entity for appliance, that is the light bulb. Okay, so you can see here for every physical entity there is a virtual entity. And next, devices. So what is the purpose of device? Device provides a way for interaction between physical and virtual entities. Okay, so how the data about physical entities can be accessed in the code. Okay, that is done through devices. Devices mean sensors, actuators, as well as computational devices like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, NodeMCU. All these things comes under devices. And you can see here devices are used to gather information from the entities, physical entities. Okay. And next is resources. So there are two types of resources: on-device or on-device resources or network resources. And again, one more point is resources are software components, the things which you will use inside your programs or code. Okay, and they can be of two types: on-device or network resources. So you can see examples here. What is an on-device resource? An on-device resource is hosted on the device. So I told you an examples of devices, right? Raspberry Pi. Let's say the device I am using is Raspberry Pi, and one example for on-device resource that is running on the Raspberry Pi is maybe the operating system. Okay, so let's say the operating system I am using is Raspbian. So that is an example for on-device resource. Let's say if you are using Linux, Linux will be, in that case Linux is an example for on-device resource. And then there is network resource. What is a network resource is software component that are available on the network or accessible on the network. So example, let's say there is a database in which we are storing the data and we can access that data through network. So the database is an example for network resource. And then the last thing is service. So what is the purpose of service? Provides an interface for interacting with physical entities. Again, what are the physical entities? Room and appliance, right? The light bulb. So, and you can see one more point: services access resources, these things to perform operations on physical entities. So services you can assume like setting the mode, like yes, like auto or manual. Okay, and one more service can be turning the lights on and off. Okay, one more service can be accessing the data about the light level in the room. Okay, so those are example of services. So in these services that I have told you what we are doing, I am accessing this or interacting with these physical entities, that is the room and light bulb. Okay, so this is the domain model specification. So there are different kinds of arrows here. So you see mm, this straight arrow is one way association, that means there is some kind of association between the entities whenever you see this arrow, stick arrow. Okay, and when you see an arrow with triangle, filled triangle head, the kind of relationship is generalization or specialization. Okay, when you see this kind of arrow with a diamond head, filled diamond head, that kind of relationship is called aggregation relationship. Okay, and these boxes, rectangle boxes with two compartments, are called entities. Okay, the type of entity that represents. Okay, right. So this type can be an entity, or it can be a service, or it can be a resource, or it can be a device, or it can be a attribute that belongs to a particular object. Okay, right. So you can see here, I told you there are two physical entities. One is room and another one is appliance, that is the light bulb. Okay, so we have two physical entities, room and appliance. For every physical entity there is one, sorry, one virtual entity. So for room we have virtual room, and for physical appliance we have virtual appliance, right? Okay, and then the second category we have is devices. So in this case the device they are using is mini computer. Let's consider Raspberry Pi. Okay, so this device is Raspberry Pi, and this device contains, Raspberry Pi contains sensors as well as actuator. So the sensor they are using is LDR. So this LDR sensor purpose is to measure the level of light. Okay, that is the purpose of LDR sensor. And the actuator they are using is relay. So what is the purpose of relay? Based on the electrical signal it will switch off or switch on. That is the purpose of relay. So both of these things are presented or attached to device, okay, which is Raspberry Pi. And fourth category is resources. There are two types of resources, right? Network resource or on-device resource. Okay, So let's say this is a database, and let's say this on device resource is operating system like Raspbian or Noops or any other on device operating system. Okay, and the last type of entities is service. Okay, so what does the service do? Service will access physical entities. So it does not access them directly, it accesses the physical entities through their counterpart virtual entities. Okay, using those it will provide services, right? And you can see here, uh, what is this sensor doing? Sensor is monitoring the light inside the room. Okay, and what is this actuator doing? The relay, what is the relay doing here? It is acting on the appliance, which is light bulb. So if the user switches on the bulb, it will switch on the bulb. If the user switches off the bulb, it will switch off the bulb. Okay, right. And on top of the at the top of the diagram, you can see here, so there is the end user, the client who wants this IoT system, and the user can be two types: the human, physical human user, the human being, the client himself or herself, or the user can be treated as the application, the mobile application, sorry, the web application, right? So the client wants web application, so this app is web application, and the web application will access all these things: the physical entities, virtual entities, devices, resources, and services. Service. Okay. Right. Okay, so let me explain what are these relationships, the arrows. So if you see, mm, let's say simply this arrow, sensor is associated with device. Okay, so it's a simple relationship, that is something is associated with something else. So in this example, sensor is associated with device and the relationship name is attached to. Okay, so this LDR sensor is attached to Raspberry Pi. The device we are resuming is Raspberry Pi. Similarly, this actuator is also associated with Raspberry Pi. How it is associated? What is the relationship? Attached to. Okay. And let's see one more arrow, generalization. So if you see this arrow, triangle head, field triangle head, this is a generalization or specialization relationship. Means, so the head of the arrow always points to general entity. Okay, and the tail always points to specific entity. Specific. So this is also specific entity. Okay, like what is a generalization relationship is easier relationship. So how we can read this is human user is a type of user. Okay, similarly this application is a type of user. That is how you infer the generalization specialization relationship. Similarly, if you see here, mm, let's say network resource. Network resource is a type of resource. Similarly, on device resource is a type of resource. Okay, so this resource is more general, and network resource, resources which are accessible through network, they are a special kind of resources. Okay, that is about generalization specialization relationship. Now the last kind of relationship is aggregation relationship, this diamond head. Okay, so what is the meaning of aggregation is they represent whole part relationship. Whole part relationship. So in this relationship, one entity is a whole, another thing is part of that whole. So the tail always represents part and the head always represents whole. Okay. So what is the on-device resource I told you? This is, let's consider OS, operating system as. So this operating system is a part of the Raspberry Pi. Yes, we can consider it like that. It is running on the Raspberry Pi. So operating system is obviously a part of this Raspberry Pi. Okay. So that is the meaning of aggregation relationship, whole part relationship. So I think now all the information in the diagram is clear, right? So that is about domain model specification. And the last thing is information model specification. So what happens here is, first let me show you the information model specification. So at the end of this, that is at the 10th step, we will try to write the code for this IoT system now. So while writing the code or program, uh, what is the kind of data we want to store, that is the in the form of classes or variables. What is the data we want to store, that is given by information model specification. So you can see the structure of all the information in the IoT system, but it does not describe how that information will be stored and represented. Okay. So this information model will not tell you which database will be used or which programming language will be used or what is the variables you will use, etc., etc. It will just tell what data will be stored and what will be the type of that data, like that. Okay. uh, so to create this information model, so first we need virtual entities, right? We already have our virtual entities. So virtual entities are the virtual room as well as virtual appliance. Okay, right. So first what we will do in this information model is we will list out the virtual entities. After that we will list out the attributes and relationships between those virtual entities. So that is what you will see in this diagram. So first we have the virtual entity room as well as virtual entity appliance, that is the bulb. Okay, light bulb. So you can see the some extra information here. So the type of entity is room, and they are also giving some attribute ID whose value is room 1. Similarly, for the light appliance, that is the bulb, the entity type is, it is a type of appliance, and the ID they are giving is light 1, and in which room it is available, inside room 1. So they are telling that this light 1 is a part of room 1. Similarly, we can have light 2 which is part of room 2. Okay, and the relationship they are giving is association, that means this light bulb is associated with this room, and the relationship name is in room, that means the light is inside this room. Okay, and for this room they are specifying this attribute light level S. So as I already told you, there will be sensors, LDR sensor will be there which will monitor the level of light. So this data is associated with that, and and where the light level is monitored, inside the room. So that's why it is associated with room. Okay, and the attribute name is light level and the attribute type is level. Okay, and there are two values for this attribute. One is light level is high, another one is light level low. Similarly, for the light bulb we have the attribute state, is it on or off. Okay, is it on or off. The bottom rectangles are like values for those attributes. Okay, on, off, and high, low. So this is the information model for the home automation system for smart lighting. Okay, so I will stop here for this session. In the next session we will continue with the rest of the steps. So what we have seen in this session, we have started with some points about IoT design methodology. Okay, so we have seen the 10 steps in the design methodology. We have considered the case study of automation system, home automation system, that is smart lighting. So first step is purpose and requirements specification. So we got all the requirements, and the second step is process specification, where we develop the use cases like this. Okay, this is the process diagram. And then we have the domain model specification, where we represent all the entities. Okay, either physical entity, virtual entity, device, resource, and service. So this is the domain model specification diagram. And then finally we got the information model specification, where we list out the virtual entities, and then we list out the attributes and relationships between them. Okay, that's it for this session. Thank you.